lost them in the grass. Welcome back to another episode of Bassin with Captain Lou with AE Fishing. You guys want to learn about flat fishing out here in the Everglades? You may want to check out this video. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody. I hope everybody had a happy new year. This video is going to be all about flat fishing. It's basically like an introduction to flat fishing. I know a lot of my videos are about fishing the Everglades canals and fishing the marshlands like in the little bass hunter boat or Lake Okeechobee, but I've never taken the time to show you guys the flats fishing and the things that anglers should know if they decide to come into these areas and try their hand at flats fishing. So what do the flats consist of? If you guys look over my shoulder, this is one example of the flats. You have massive amounts of sawgrass, and you got these boat trails or airboat trails that just go inside the Everglades, basically. However, if you follow some of these trails, sometimes it opens into expansive areas that are just beautiful habitat. So if you're a shallow water fisherman and you love fishing around nice, dense, beautiful vegetation, then the flats is something you must check out. So before I continue with the video, I want to talk to you guys about some significant safety stuff in regards to fishing the flats. Before you even enter a flat, you have to put out a flag. You have to go ahead and have yourself a marsh flag. Those are FWC rules, and what does that basically mean is you have to find yourself a pole type of apparatus, something that's 10 feet above the water line that displays a marsh flag. Don't worry, I'm going to go ahead and put all that stuff down right here in the screen in front of you in regards to what that consists of. But what's a marsh flag? Basically, it's a flag. It's a nice, bright flag, okay, that tells everybody where you're at. And why is that important? Because as you guys can see over my shoulder, there's trails here. Airboats, this is an airboat's domain. They fly through here, okay? Now, if you don't have a dive flag and you're fishing amongst the sawgrass and that airboat doesn't see you, it could be a very bad day for both boats. However, with a dive flag, airboats and other boats that may be in the area will be able to see you and know to stay clear if they decide to travel from one flat to another. Another safety thing that you guys need to keep in mind is to have yourself a GPS system. Most electronics today are GPS equipped. Mark waypoints where you enter, and every few minutes or so make yourself like a crumb trail of where you're going. Because once you get caught up fishing, you start making a right, you start making a left, you start going around a circle. You will get lost if you're not familiar with the area. So if you have a good GPS and you mark these little breadcrumb trails, you'll be able to find your way out. Another important tool that you should have is a cell phone, fully charged, because if something happens out here, you need to be able to call out for help or for assistance. You want to take it a step further, is talk to your fishing buddies ahead of time and let them know, hey man, I'm going flats fishing in XYZ area. Anything comes up, I'm going to be fishing this particular spot. So they know they can come out and get you just in case you get stuck. Another piece of equipment that I forget to tell you guys is you need a very strong trolling motor. In my case, mine is an 80-pound Minn Kota, and I have a Ninja blade attached to it. Basically, it's an attachment or a blade attachment that you could add to the trolling motor that helps cut through the vegetation. And as you guys can see, there's a lot of vegetation here, so I'll take any help I can get getting through this stuff. So when are the flats accessible? That's a very important question. And the way I answer that is the flats are accessible anytime we're experiencing a high water type of conditions, which is a lot these days. Yes, there are special boats that are designed to go in the flats during low water season, but the purpose of this video is to talk about regular anglers in their standard boats. Boats that could easily access these areas are flat bottom boats, special marsh boats. These are boats that draft very little amount of water and they can cover very expansive amounts safely. Your standard boats, like for example mine, which is a Vexus boat or a tin boat, or some of the other boats out there, trackers, and all the other boats are big glass boats. They could access the flats, but you got to be very careful again in the areas you choose to go into, because some of these areas could be deep, or some of them could be extremely shallow. And trust me, you don't want to get stuck out here if you're not familiar with the area. So flats access. There are multiple areas in the South Florida area that you could have flats access. The best advice or the best resource that I could provide to you guys is to get familiarized with the FWC website. The FWC website has your more common flats entrances. They have a nice map in regards to that. Another resource that I enjoy a lot is Google Earth. Google Earth will give you a good satellite view of particular areas you may be interested in. But nonetheless, there are so many areas that you could access when it comes to flats fishing, and there's so many resources available to you as well to be able to get familiarized with the areas before you get inside. There he is. Little guy. Made you feel like it was a big one though, right? I'm telling you, out here, you just never know. By the way, this fish is ice cold. Let me put this guy back in the water, but I'm gonna show you where I caught this guy. So whenever the fishing is a little slow and you start catching fish, it's only my second fish. Unfortunately, I had the camera off when I forgot to turn the camera back on when I caught the first bass, but it was a similar size. It wasn't a giant. But nonetheless, when you start catching fish out here when it's slow, because right now it's slow, but when you start catching fish out here, you've got to start making mental notes of where you caught your fish, because it can be important clues as the day progresses. So just to give you guys an idea of what's going on, I caught that fish in an isolated stump of sawgrass just like that. So in this immense hayfield over here, that one little piece of sawgrass was the one that yielded me the fish. That's how important the details are out here. So there's so many different types of vegetation out here. I'm going to go to another area in a little while just show you. But it's so diverse out here in regards to the vegetation and the areas where the bass could hide that it can become a little overwhelming. But don't worry, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you guys about that and how to break down the flats to increase your chances of success out here. So I want to go ahead and cover with you guys the baits very briefly. Again, this is an intro. I'm not going to do a deep dive in regards to these baits and how to fish these baits right now in the flats. That's going to be a future video. But nonetheless, I want to go ahead and cover the baits and the gear that you guys should be thinking of when coming in here and fishing the flats. First and foremost, I'm going to say that the flats is not for the weak-hearted. And what do I mean by that? You got to come in with stout gear. There's a lot of heavy vegetation here, as you guys have been seeing in some of the shots. There's a lot of topwater vegetation and submerged vegetation. So even in that little fish that I caught, that little fish wrapped himself around vegetation so quickly that I had to wrestle him out. So you have to be fishing with a minimum of medium heavy gear. Braid is the line of choice for me. Some people like fishing with very heavy fluoro, like 20-pound fluorocarbon, or even very heavy mono. Me personally, I'm 100% braid in these type of conditions. The weights that I'm fishing in regards to the line, minimum, I mean absolute minimum, 40 pounds. I usually fish around the 50-pound class of braid. As far as the baits are concerned, I'm just going to show you guys a few. These are the main ones that you may hear of, and these are like search baits for me, but you got these big, this is actually a CPF, it's a thumper worm. You guys might know them as like in the family of mag vibe worms or stuff like that, but they put out a lot of disturbance, and sometimes you need that to get their attention. I already mentioned to you guys the swim bait, another excellent bait for search bait and for catching nice fish. All my fish today have come off a swim bait, believe it or not. I haven't caught a whole heck of a lot today, but the ones I did catch were off a swim bait. Another excellent one that I like fishing in some of the open pockets that you guys might find out in the flats are spinner baits. You guys know I love spinner baits, but spinner baits can cover a lot of water. And again, you can fish it around moderate to light vegetation if you got the right gear and line tied on. And the last one that I'm going to go ahead and cover, because it's pretty well rounded, is flipping and pitching. When it comes to this type of vegetation and thick pockets and stuff like that, and the fishing is slow, if you want to go after the big girls and cover a lot of water and cover a lot of interesting spots, flipping and pitching is the way to go. So the number one question that I receive all the time in regards to fishing the flats is they ask me, Cap, where do I go? Where do I start? Where do I begin? What do I throw? All those are excellent questions. When you enter a flat, it can be very overwhelming, especially if it's your first time fishing these type of situations. Flats for me remind me of the old Okeechobee, very vast open marshlands that have trails that give you access to the lake. In this case, there is no access to a lake, it's just hundreds and thousands of square miles of marshland. But within these areas, there are little patterns that you should be paying attention to. I'm not saying that they will work all the time, but those are the little things that help me. What I like looking at is I like looking for clusters of vegetation. I don't look at the vastness of all the vegetation. I try to break it down into different clusters. Is there vegetation inside of vegetation? What does the bottom consist of? Is the bottom mucky, or is it grassy, or is it rocky? You follow what I'm saying? So you start breaking down the area as you start fishing the area and getting familiarized with things. And whenever you get a bite, record everything in your mind. Where did you catch that fish? What bait did you use? Especially if you start catching more than one fish, I would mark that location and I would start breaking down what is it about that location that yield me those fish, and copy that area and looking for those similar spots in other areas as well. I wish I could tell you guys that fishing the flats is a slam dunk, that you guys are going to catch fish galore and there's monster bass all over the place and stuff like that. Not necessarily. You're going to have to cover a lot of water. Today I am covering a lot of water and I've only caught 5 fish. A lot of work for 5 fish, but I enjoy fishing the flats. I enjoy fishing the shallow waters areas of the flats, because at any given moment, any given cast in the right spot is going to yield you a giant. So take your time, break down cover piece by piece, and you guys will be okay. Do not try to solve this puzzle in a day. You got to come out here a few times to get yourself familiarized with the areas that you're fishing. And keep in mind that the flats out here are vast, so one area may not be the same as the other area. They're all a little different. So take your time, enjoy yourself. Keep those safety tips in mind in regards to the marsh flag, in regards to your cell phones, GPS systems, and all that good stuff. Because although it's pretty and it's cool out here, it can be very dangerous if you're not prepared properly. So hopefully I was able to share some information in regards to flats fishing. Just keep in mind this was a flats fishing 101, very basic introduction to the flats. If you guys do decide to go into the flats, be safe, have fun, and have a good time. Thanks again for watching. Like the video, share the video, better yet subscribe. It'll be a very big help to the channel. And I'll see you guys again soon. Take care of yourselves.